Hi, my name is Vani Kamra, and I'm delighted to join you today as a candidate eager to contribute to this esteemed law accounting team. It is with great pleasure that we introduce our distinguished guest, Mr. Richard Aragon, a seasoned IT professional with over 2 decades of experience navigating the ever evolving landscape of technology. Richard's journey commenced during the era of the Apple's ascension, where he joined the tech giant's ranks just before the dot-com crash of the early 2000s. Since then, he has witnessed the dynamic shifts and revolutions that have defined the modern tech industry in all its forms. With a wealth of experience from the dot-com bubble to the advent of cutting-edge innovations, Richard brings a unique perspective shaped by years of firsthand experience at the forefront of technological progress. So great to have you here today. And I'm going to go ahead and dive right in with the questions. So, looking ahead, my first question to you is basically the future potential of AI. So, what are some exciting developments you foresee in the use of AI within the legal world?
Question. So I would answer that by saying that to me, I've already been working on and already been tasked with a few different projects in varying areas of uh, law, very specifically with regards towards marketing and building out marketing models and marketing and sales for different industries, and then as well as uh, jury selection, voir dire models, and things that are related to paralegal advice and paralegal work. Essentially, what I've been tasked with is everything, including in the courtroom, that can be kind of more busy work. I think that's where the technology is starting to focus and come into the legal space very specifically, and that's kind of everything that I've been tasked with is everything that can be automated upfront in some way and or can reduce inefficiencies within the firm.
So, going off of that, I know that sometimes reducing inefficiencies can cause other, I don't want to say cons, but cons. So, keeping that in mind, what are some ethical considerations we should keep in mind as AI technologies become more integrated into these legal practices, as you were talking about?
Fantastic question. So, with that, to me, I think the number one thing to keep in mind up front and throughout the entire future of AI is to always keep that human in the middle, no matter what, no matter how much we're innovating, no matter how much we're automating, always keeping that human in the process. And I think right now that's important for the technology. And in the future, as we advance, that's more and more important for alignment. And then so I think that problem never gets solved. It's not a problem that we solve to eliminate the human in the middle.
Yeah. So I was going to ask more about like bias and fairness. So I know that AI systems can sometimes replicate or even amplify biases present in their training data. So how can we address these biases in AI tools used in legal
Great question
settings?
there as well. So to me, the number one thing with bias to keep in mind up front is that they're trained on human data and human systems. So there is always going to be some sort of inherent bias within that. And then oftentimes bias can come in by things that we ignore or things that we don't even think about. And then so not even thinking about something can introduce bias into the equation as well. So I think because of that, it's impossible overall to eliminate bias. But what I can say on that front is that there are perhaps technological solutions that we can work towards on that front. For example, utilizing the models themselves to detect the bias and then eliminate bias, like having secondary models, things like that. There's a lot of exploration and kind of unique challenges that that presents, but also unique opportunities within that space.
So you were talking about just secondary models, and I know there are lots of models, but one of the things that I wanted to talk about was large language models, and I know how that's becoming like crucial in many sectors. So can you talk more about that and some key security
Yeah,
concerns
so
in sensitive?
for sure. And so,
Yeah.
especially talking in the legal space, very specifically, my approach and take on this is very specifically that uh, LLM models are not 100% secure as if they're being exposed. on the back end or on the front end. There's vulnerabilities on both ends that still exist within that system. I think, and so from that front, my approach isn't that LLM models shouldn't be utilized, but they shouldn't be exposed. And I think that's kind of a key thing and a key problem that more and more firms will run into. You see a lot of like JP Morgan, a lot of big firms are utilizing AI, but they're not exposing their LLM models. And I think that's the important key differentiation there.
Yeah. So, can you explain how open source programming influences the development of AI
Yeah, I think
technologies?
that's another fantastic question. So, to me, open source development influences the technology on two fronts. It influences it, first of all, because I think a lot of the actual automation and a lot of the actual what we see as far as improving the technology comes from advancement of the technology, comes from the academic spaces and from those open source spaces. And then secondarily, I think that the altruistic aspects, the ethical aspects that we see, all of those aspects, those are spearheaded by the open source community. And I think it's important, especially with AI technology, that that's built into it and that that stays built into it. So I think open source community drives a lot of that. And then so I think that's why you always see that collaboration and cooperation because you can't eliminate those things from the AI equation.
Yeah. So, besides that, do you think that there are any other emerging technologies or trends in AI that you think will particularly influence the legal sector in the next few years?
Yeah, absolutely. So to me, I think that the best emerging trends to look forward to within the legal sector are the emergence of technology trends, as we just mentioned, that like the LLM models, so models that are going higher and higher in efficiency and productivity, but then also models that are like kind of on the lower end and more infiltration of technologies that are done for more specific tasks. And then in that, I think you'll see like evolutionary algorithms, genetic algorithms. I think those two would be two technologies to really look forward to and focus on specifically within the legal space if I were to take out my crystal ball in that aspect.
So that was actually my next question. When you say like specifically in your like legal space, what do you mean by that? And what advice would you give specifically for legal professionals looking into integrate AI into their
Yeah,
practice?
fantastic question. So, to me, what I would give to legal professionals very specifically, to if you're looking to integrate, is that there's when it comes to AI specifically, there's no better time than the present. It's the reverse of other technologies on that front. Whereas I think that a lot of industries and a lot of firms are taking an approach right now where it's a wait and see approach, but I think that that's what's going to leave people behind, specifically when it comes towards AI, because it's not about developing the technology in house. When you invest, when you make an AI investment specifically for your firm, what you're investing in is your individual data at the end of the day. You're training a model on your data. You're collecting that data and you're putting it together. And then so the sooner that you start putting your team onto that and then realizing and focusing on those tasks and getting efficient at those tasks, that's what sets you apart from your competitors. It's not the model at the end of the day, it's that reproducibility of that process that you're able to build internally and being able to do more with your data sooner than your competitors.
So listening to all of this, it really makes me feel like uh, integrating AI into like a specific legal firm, like in a specific way, will really help with the efficiency and really like eliminate all the competitors,
That's
right?
I mean, to me, that's the big advantage and what we you see within AI is I think you hit the two nails on the head: efficiency and then also a competitive advantage. And that's kind of that second part, that competitive advantage, is a unique thing that AI brings, and that's kind of a aspect of it that I think a lot of firms aren't focusing on yet. Yes, you do get the automations and the efficiencies, but that's been said by a lot of technologies, and that's been said for years, right? But that actual true competitive advantage that you get from doing those things and building those processes internally is a major advantage that no other technology before AI has been able to produce.
So when you say like a competitive edge, is that when you say that there's a huge competitive edge, is that because it's creating such a huge, like a way more efficient program or system, or is it due to other
That's a
reasons?
fantastic question. So I think it's both, right? And then so I'll give you the example of the project that I mentioned up front that I'm working on, and I can talk about it a little bit. So it's a Vladir project, Vladir for jury selection process. And then so within that, the turning that process over to AI provides us two advantages, right? The first one is that it's just far more efficient than a human can to go through and read through every single jury survey, to go through and listen for sentiment analysis as you're questioning the jurors. All of that process, it's just a far more efficient for an AI model to do it up front. But then secondarily, it's also to accuracy, more accuracy than you can actually get within a human, especially in the moment for like a process like jury selection where there's a lot going on, things like that. So to me, it's the value add of automation, but then also the value add of being able to be just as competitive or more competitive than your competitors. Kind of the like what we do with that Vladir product. The kind of selling point is that it allows for the small firm to compete with the large firm with more limited resources. I think that that's kind of the big thing with AI is competing more with less.
Yeah, that basically summed everything up. So, is there anything else that you would like to share about AI?
So to me, I
Or
think that the future is bright for AI. And then the last thing that I'll say is, again, I don't think that there's a world where we eliminate that human in the middle process, and I don't think that's a process that we should actually solve for lots of reasons all around. And that's the last thing that I'd like to say on the subject.
I'm really glad that you said that because I feel like there's a lot of misconceptions around AI. I feel like one of them is what you just said. I feel like either people think that it's gonna completely eliminate the human touch, which is very inaccurate because if anything, it's going to create more of an efficiency in every system, not going to, and it's not going to eliminate the humans in between. Because without the humans, there is a bias but not a bias, and there is a bias in both systems, but we need both biases at some point.
That's exactly it.
So, yeah,
We
I
need
think
that balance. And then so you need that human in there, if nothing else, just to balance out the equation. And there's nothing else that you can do to change that equation.
yeah. So the future is really bright, and I was really glad to talk to
Likewise,
you. Thank
same
you
to
for
you.
joining us.
Same. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And